happiness is not where you lost it. Have you ever returned to an old place, an old room, an old memory, only to realize there is nothing there but nostalgia? We often have the habit of looking for happiness where it used to be. An old love. An old job. A beautiful time gone by. But the strange thing is, happiness is not there anymore. It has gone with time, with the old version of yourself. We do not suffer because we lost others. We suffer because we lost our old selves, the one who used to smile happily when they were still around. But do you dare to face the truth that old friend may not be suitable for the person you are today? You have changed. But you refuse to admit it. This life is strange. You can suffer in a room for years, just because you refuse to step out and open another door. Want a different life, make a different decision. People often want everything to change, except themselves. Want a more peaceful life, but still keep the same way of thinking. Want to be loved more, but don't dare to love yourself first. Want new opportunities, but are afraid of losing your comfort zone. Do you see that paradox? Happiness doesn't come by itself. It is the result of courageous decisions. And the irony is, sometimes happiness lies on the other side of the fear you have never overcome. We are afraid of change because we think we will lose something. But honestly, how much have you lost because you didn't dare to change? The past has no right to imprison you. My past was so bad, you may have said. But the amazing thing is, people with the worst pasts often write the most brilliant futures. Because they know what it feels like to hurt, they don't want to hurt again. Because they've hit rock bottom, every step forward is a step up. You can't change what happened. But you can stop living as if it's happening. The great thing is, life doesn't require you to be perfect, it only requires you to start over. Now. One bad chapter doesn't make a bad story. If you're going through a bad time, don't be so quick to conclude that your life is done. One bad chapter doesn't mean a bad book. It could be the beginning of a turning point. You have the power to change your life story, as long as you dare to pick up the pen. Dare to rewrite. Dare to cross it out. Dare to change the tone, the plot, the main character, if you need to. Life doesn't give you a perfect script. But it gives you the power to change things, if you're brave enough. And perhaps the most surprising thing is this. Happiness comes from no one, from nowhere. It comes when you're sober enough to stop looking for it in the past, and brave enough to build it in the present. Nobody's gonna save you, and that's good news. Here's something that few people dare to tell you. Nobody's going to save you. No lover. No parents. No teachers. No boss. No best friends. No universe. No healing energy. It may sound bitter, but it's the most beautiful truth you can realize in life. Why? Because when you understand that no one can save you but yourself, you will wake up. And when you wake up from that dream of dependence, you can start living a real life. We don't suffer because of circumstances, but because of our own thoughts. Have you noticed? There are people who are poorer than you, but they are still happy. There are people who have suffered more than you, but they still get up and move on. The problem is not what happened to you. The problem is how you react. The world is unfair, true. But you have two choices. One is to blame and wait for someone to make it fair. The other is to look at yourself, change yourself, and learn to take control of your own life. The funny thing is, people always think they are stuck, while the door is still open. No one can hurt you, unless you let it. Have you been hurt? Have you been abandoned? Have you been used? Betrayed? All of that is true, but be honest with yourself. How many times have you let it happen because you were afraid to say no? Because you were afraid of offending? Because you were afraid of being left behind? Because you thought, I don't deserve better? No one can hurt you, unless you give them the key to get in. Self-control is not coldness. Self-control is the cessation of blame. It's daring to look in the mirror and say, if this life isn't what I want, I'll do it again, instead of complaining. Freedom comes after you take responsibility. We often think of freedom as being able to do what you want. But true freedom is when you can do the right thing, even if no one forces you to. Freedom is not about giving up everything to heal. Freedom is when you heal with discipline, with action, with awareness, and with perseverance. You may not be able to control what happens, but you always control how you react to it. And that is the greatest power anyone has, but few use it. You are the main character, not the victim. Stop telling your life story as a tragedy. Stop calling yourself by your injuries. Stop writing long status updates about your suffering and hoping someone will understand. The truth is, no one understands you completely, and they don't need to. You don't need anyone to understand, you need to act. Taking responsibility for your life isn't as scary as you think. On the contrary, it's the gateway to freedom, self-respect, and self-confidence. And here's the final, surprising thing. You don't need a savior. You are already your own savior, you just haven't taken on the role yet. They don't need forgiveness, but you need to let go. Sounds strange, doesn't it? A lot of people think that forgiving is doing the person who hurt you a favor. The truth is, forgiveness isn't about letting the other person be at peace. It's about setting yourself free. There are hurts you've carried for years. Every time you bring them up, you say, I can't forget that. I can't forgive them. I'll never let it go. And yes, you have every right to feel that way. But let me ask you a question. How long do you want to carry that wound? Carrying the thorn doesn't make you stronger. You think if you don't forgive, you'll have control over them. You think if you hold on to your anger, you won't be hurt again. You think coldness is a kind of armor to protect yourself. But it's not. You have no control over anything. You are just chaining memories, dragging them everywhere, while the other person may have forgotten you long ago. The irony. The person who hurt you is no longer present, but you still let them live in your head, every day. Letting go is not losing. People often say letting go is giving up. No. Letting go is not a failure. Letting go is a silent victory. When you no longer let the past control your emotions. When you no longer bring up the old story to seek pity. When you no longer frown when you hear that person's name. At that moment, you have won. And miraculously, you don't need anyone to apologize, don't need justice, don't need anyone to understand you. You just need to choose to move on. That's it. Don't forgive because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. They may not repent. They may never apologize. They may still be living happily, while you are depressed. And that makes you angry. But be honest. Are you angry, you are hurt, you are holding on to that hatred, causing them to lose sleep? No. You are only torturing yourself with emotions that have no way out. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is the final disconnect between you and them. Where there is resentment, there is attachment. When you forgive, you truly leave. Letting go is an act of courage. You think being strong means holding on to everything. But true courage is knowing how to let go of what is no longer worthy. You may hurt, but you don't have to hurt forever. You may be broken, but you don't need to put your pieces together in someone else's image. You can rebuild yourself the way you choose. And finally, a surprising truth. The person you need to forgive the most is not necessarily the person who hurt you. Sometimes, it's yourself. You made mistakes. You were weak. You let others cross your limits. And now, you keep beating yourself up over it. But do you know what? You also deserve to be forgiven. You also deserve to start over, without carrying the old baggage. Tell yourself, I don't need to carry anymore. Enough. I choose to let go. And then, you will feel strangely light. The deeper the love, the more important the limit. Sounds contradictory, doesn't it? You think. If you truly love each other, why do you need a boundary? You're a close friend, you can say anything. Love means sacrificing everything, right? Wrong. Because the deeper the love, the clearer the limit needs to be. Not to separate, but to keep each other longer. No limit, not to get closer, but to crash into each other more. A friend once told me, "I just say it like that, you're my best friend, why are you angry?" But my friend, intimacy doesn't give anyone the right to hurt others. Even if you're a close friend, you're not allowed to judge someone when they're weak. Even if you're a lover, you don't have the right to control every call, every relationship, every gesture they make. You think that's caring. But the truth is, no boundaries, no respect. Love without limits will no longer be love. With a lover, you no longer have the right to be silent. Do you have to explain yourself all the time, everywhere? Do you have to reply to messages immediately, not turn off your phone, not be sad alone? That is not love, that is control. True love does not require you to dissolve into the other person. It gives you a private space, and trusts you in that space. Love that makes you sacrifice yourself to keep it will sooner or later kill love. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors. Many people are afraid to set boundaries. Afraid of being misunderstood as cold, distant, or annoying. But you know, boundaries do not make you lonely, they help you stay together safely. A wall is a wall that keeps others out. But a locked door, it can still be opened, just not everyone can enter. Actually, people who really love you will respect your limits. You don't need to force yourself to please anyone. You don't need to listen to a close friend scolding you every time they are upset. You don't need to stay in a relationship just because you're afraid of making them sad. A relationship without limits is the most fragile. The person who loves you will learn to stop when they see you are tired. The person who loves you will know how to take a step back so as not to push you to your limit. The biggest surprise is this. When you set limits, you don't lose the person who loves you. You only lose the person who doesn't really deserve it. Did you think you would be lonely? No. You will see. There are people who, when you start to know how to hold on to yourself, they start to appreciate you more. Conclusion: limits are the highest expression of mature emotions. Friendship, love, if there are no limits, sooner or later it will break. Not because of no longer loving, but because we have violated each other too much. Keeping limits is keeping each other. Knowing when to stop is knowing that we still want to continue. Knowing how to say no is preserving a more sustainable yes. You don't need to be someone else. You just need to be yourself and allow yourself to stand within a decent boundary. Not all flowers bloom in spring. There are times when you do everything right. You work hard. You are kind. You are kind. You persevere day by day. But nothing changes. You start to doubt. Am I not good enough? Am I not cut out for this? Should I just give up? But listen carefully. Not all flowers bloom in spring. Some seeds take 3 winters to sprout. Some journeys are not measured by speed, but by quiet perseverance. Acceptance is not surrender. We often think acceptance means letting go, giving in. But no. Acceptance is starting to live authentically. You can't control everything. You can't make others love you. You can't make everyone understand you. You can't be sure that every effort will have results right away. Accept it, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough not to get angry at what you cannot control. The world is not always fair, but it always has its unspoken rules. Maybe you are not the best. There is no best starting point. There is no better condition than others. But you have one thing that the world is afraid to face. You do not give up. You continue to work in silence. You continue to learn, continue to love, continue to correct mistakes. You continue to move forward even though no one sees you. And then, one day, when there is no one left to compare, You will stand in the position you once dreamed of. The biggest surprise is, what doesn't come soon usually comes right. Maybe you are not chosen for the dream position today. But if you were chosen early, are you ready? Maybe that relationship can't last. But if it lasts longer, will you lose yourself? What you don't have today may be what will come to a better version of you tomorrow. Persistence without noise, but it's something that makes you never return to the starting line. It doesn't have to be too flashy. Just be consistent every day. A page of a book every night. An exercise every morning. A kind word to yourself every time you stumble. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to be loyal to yourself of yesterday. And then one day, you yourself will be surprised by the gap between you today and you in the past. Acceptance is shaking hands with the present. Persistence is making an appointment with the future. If you find yourself going too slow, don't worry. Maybe you're going further than everyone. If you see someone going faster, congratulate them. But don't forget, the only race you need to finish is your own race. Finally, quietly but greatly. You don't need to bloom like fireworks. Just be persistent like the sun, rising quietly every morning. No one applauds when you are patient. No one cheers when you silently get up after each fall. But life will record everything. And one day, very unexpectedly, you will realize, oh, I have reached the place I once thought was impossible. I'm not an easy choice, and I don't have to be. Have you ever asked yourself, if I'm so good, why do people still abandon me? If I try my best, why doesn't anyone see it? How can I change to be accepted? Unfortunately, you're asking the wrong question. It's not that you're not good enough. It's that you're trying to be a version of yourself that's easier for others to swallow. But you're not a piece of gum chewed and then spit out. You're not born to please everyone. This world is full of people who live by other people's standards. Always must be this way to be loved. Must be that way to not be left behind. But my friend, there are things that the harder you try to be accepted, the more you lose yourself. You give in. You stay silent. You strain to please. One day, you look in the mirror. And you don't recognize who's looking back at you. Self-esteem is the foundation of all good relationships. People will treat you right the way you allow them to. You tolerate disrespect, they think you're resigned. You accept toxic words, they think you deserve it. You stay silent when you're dumped, they believe you'll always be there, no matter what. No. No more. No more. Today, remember. You have the right to be treated right, no compromise. Your worth is not in the eye of the beholder, it's in who you are. A designer item thrown on the ground is still valuable. A diamond covered in dust is still valuable. So you, even if you are hurt, misunderstood, or abandoned, are still you, with a value that no one can determine. Self-respect is not arrogance. Self-respect is knowing how to say, I can love, but not beg. I can forgive, but not forget how to protect myself. I can listen, but not let anyone step on my heart. The right person will not love you because you are like someone else, but because you are yourself. You don't need to be a little less to be more lovable. You don't need to talk less to make someone less annoying. You don't need to constantly fix yourself to fit the mold someone draws. You only need the right person. Someone who sees the light in you even when you think you are the darkest. And before that person comes, become that person for yourself first. The most surprising thing is when you stop trying, then people start to see you. When you start holding your head up high. When you say no to what hurts you. When you walk away from a place that no longer deserves you. You will be surprised how the world starts treating you differently. Not because you change your appearance. Not because you talk more. But because you know you are worthy, and you act like it. Conclusion: don't ask for a seat at someone else's table, build your own table. You don't have to force your way into someone else's life. You don't have to beg to be loved. You don't have to compete to be chosen. You are an option, not an alternative. And your worth, no one can bargain with you. It's not that life is hopeless, it's that you've forgotten how strong you were. There are days when you wake up and everything seems meaningless. Fewer messages. Work is flat. Efforts seem to disappear into thin air. You feel lost faith, and sometimes even lost yourself. But stop, just for a second. And remember, there used to be a version of you, overcoming many things that seemed impossible. Positive thinking, not trying to pretend to be okay. Many people misunderstand. They think positive thinking means always being happy, always thinking well, always smiling even though your heart is aching. No. That's not it. Positive thinking is not denying the pain. It's daring to face it, and still believing, I will overcome it. It's when you've just cried, your eyes are still swollen. But you get up, wash your face, and say, I'll try again. You're not starting over from zero, you're starting over as a different person. Every time you fall, you think you're back to square one. But you're not. You carry the scars. You carry the lessons. You carry the courage that has been tested to the limit. What you build today is not just the future, it's you. And you'll be surprised, that person is stronger than you ever thought. Personal development is not about competing with others, it's about dare to face your old self. Others may be better, faster, have more opportunities. But my friend, they don't live your life. The real measure is: are you braver today than you were yesterday? Are you more persistent than before? Have you stopped comparing and started listening to yourself? Growth is not noisy. Sometimes it is just small actions. Not giving up after a bad day. Not talking badly about yourself anymore. Not avoiding the mirror every morning. You don't need a perfect life, you need a new perspective. Here's a strange thing. When you change the way you look at life, life really starts to change. Not because you force yourself to be positive, but because you start to be selective about what you pay attention to. You stop holding on to criticism. You stop counting failures. You start to see clearly the things that are still going right, quietly, kindly. A new mindset will open you to new doors. One closed door, you despair. Two closed doors, you think life is unfair. Three closed doors, you want to give up. But have you ever thought? The door you truly belong to is opening in a place you have never dared to step into? Just stop knocking on the place where there is no more echo. And turn around, maybe the light has been waiting for you for a long time. Conclusion: no one can save you, except yourself. And that is the most miraculous thing. Because the person who can pull you up, lift you up, give you new faith, is not the world out there, not someone who promised not to leave. But you, the person who is reading these lines, breathing, living, and still has the chance to start over. Courage is not shouting, it's whispering, I'll try one more time. There are fears that have no name. They don't scream. They don't show up. But they squeeze your chest every time you step out of your comfort zone. You're not lazy. You're just afraid. Afraid of failure. Afraid of losing face. Afraid of rejection. Afraid that you're not good enough. And so you stay. Right where you are. With dreams shelved. With tomorrow promises. With plans that never get started. But you know what? The pain of action never compares to the pain of regret. Do you remember what you wanted to do? You wanted to open a small shop selling things you liked. You wanted to confess your love to someone even though you were shaking so much that you cried. You wanted to stand in front of a crowd and say what you believed was right. Ever wanted to quit your safe job to pursue something that makes your heart beat faster? But you didn't. You told yourself, not yet. The truth is, you're waiting. Until you stop being afraid. But sorry, that never happens. Courage doesn't come before action, it comes after you dare to do it, even though you're still shaking. People don't suddenly stop being afraid and then act. They act, even though they're still afraid. Courage is when you write a CV and send it out, even though 99% of the time it will be rejected. Courage is when you step on stage with your hands shaking and your voice cracking. Courage is when you're not sure you'll succeed, but you still choose to do it. Don't wait until you stop being afraid to start. Start, and you'll see the fear fade. You don't have to be the best, just be the one who dared to start. Others may have a better foundation. You may have looks, money, connections. But you have something that they sometimes don't have: courage. No one is brave forever. But with just 5 seconds of courage, you can change your whole life. 5 seconds to send an application. 5 seconds to start a conversation. 5 seconds to say I agree. 5 seconds to say I don't want to live like this anymore. Don't underestimate the power of a small action. Because sometimes, it is the first stone, opening the whole waterfall of change. The question is not, what if I fail? But, if I don't try, can I live with it? You may fail. Yes. You may be laughed at. Yes. You may be hurt. Yes. But my friend, what will you live with if you never dare to live your truth? A safe, regular, unblemished life, but also without light. A human shell that eats, sleeps, goes to work, but doesn't know what to beat for. That is the greatest failure to live a meaningful life. Action is the only way to heal yourself. Do you want to be more confident? Take action. Do you want to heal old pain? Take action. Do you want to change your fate? Take action. Not thinking. Not praying. Not waiting. Only action can pull you out of your own quagmire. And the first action, it may be small, it may be foolish, it may be trembling, will open up another you have never met, a brave, alive, free you. Maturity doesn't come when you're old enough. It comes when you're hurt enough. You may have thought that maturity is when you know how to earn money. It's when you can live independently. It's when you no longer depend on anyone. But then, you realize there are sadnesses that keep you up all night, and no one but you is responsible for them. That's when you start to mature. Maturity is when you know how to smile even when your heart is broken. You used to think that you wouldn't survive if you were abandoned. You used to think that if your career failed, you would have nothing left. You used to see a criticism as a stab in your self-esteem. But then, you still live. You learn to stand up. You're surprised to realize that you're not as weak as you thought. Maturity comes very quietly, but when it comes, you'll never be the same person again. Experience teaches you what books can never teach you. It teaches you that people can leave, even if you love them with all your heart. It teaches you that effort is not always rewarded, but you still have to do it. It teaches you to forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You start to see things differently. No longer too trusting. No longer too dreamy. But also no longer too resentful. You start to understand, life doesn't owe you anything. Every experience, no matter how painful, is a new layer of skin for your soul. Maturity is not measured by success, but by how you deal with failure. You've been so disappointed that you wanted to disappear. You've been shattered by a rejection. You've fallen free when the person you trusted most turned their back. But then one day, you learned to wipe your tears. You learned to say, "It's okay. I'll keep going." And the strange thing is, you become stronger, more seasoned, more profound after each scratch. There are lessons you can only learn by hurting. No one grows up in a safe zone. No one awakens when life is peaceful. It is the times of stumbling, losing, being betrayed that really open your eyes. And then you understand. Some people will only be with you for a while, don't hold on. There are things that no matter how hard you try, they won't go your way, don't blame them. There are feelings that will never be reciprocated, let them go. You begin to choose what is worthy of your heart. No longer live to please everyone. No longer chase after compliments. No longer want to prove anything to the world. Just live true to yourself. Maturity is when you know, not everything you lose is a misfortune, sometimes it is a liberation. You stop blaming. Stop holding on. Stop demanding that life be fair. Instead, you live quietly, love quietly, walk quietly, but with full awareness. That's how maturity is. Not noisy. Not ostentatious. It comes from every little pain, from every disillusionment, from every time you stand up in loneliness. But it is itself the greatest teacher in your life. And you know what? If today you are hurt, disoriented, confused because you don't know who you are, what you want, then congratulations, you are maturing. In a very human way. Very real. And very beautiful. You don't have a lifetime to put your life on hold. There is a truth that makes us shudder when we realize time does not come back. And it does not wait for you. Every morning you wake up without knowing what you are living for. It is a day taken away forever. Every time you choose silence when you should speak. Choose to give up when you should try. Choose safety when you should take a chance. You have just given life a slice, never to be taken back. You do not lack time. You just lack courageous choices. People often make excuses. I'm not ready. Wait for another time. Maybe not now. And then 5 years have passed. Others have lived a brilliant life, and you are still standing in the same place. Holding a pile of if onlys. If only I had been brave that day. If only I had not been afraid. If only I had lived differently. Life is not measured by the time you live, but by the choices you dare to make. Some people are 80 years old and have never really lived. They work, eat, rest, but their souls are like a repetitive machine. On the other hand, some people only live 25 years, but have loved deeply, failed miserably, stood up brilliantly, and left their mark on the hearts of others. The difference is not in the number of years they have. It is in how they choose to live. Every day is an opportunity, but not everyone sees it. Do you know how many dreams have died because people did not dare to start? How many relationships have broken down because no one was willing to open their hearts first? How many lives have been lived redundantly because they were trapped in superficial choices? Time is the most fair thing, everyone has 24 hours. But time is also the cruelest, it doesn't ask permission before taking anything. You can't control time, but you can control how you live. Choose to love or choose to be afraid of being hurt. Choose to live authentically or choose to wear a mask. Choose to start or choose to wait forever. Every choice you make is silently writing your life. No choice is small. No moment is meaningless. You are living, or you are wasting the most sacred thing, time. In the end, what you regret the most is not what you have done, but what you did not dare to do. Not the time you loved the wrong person. But the time you missed the right person. Not the humiliating failure. But the missed opportunity that you never dared to try. Not the mistake. But the prolonged silence, passiveness, and waiting for something that never came. Time is still passing. Will you choose to live, or simply exist? Will you choose to move on, or sit there, regretting the choices you didn't make? You can start over, but you can't go back. Don't wait until it's all over, then realize. I had a whole life to live differently. Life is a series of irreversible choices, and time is the most precious asset that humans possess, but also the most wasted. We often wait for the perfect moment, afraid of failure, afraid of being hurt, afraid of having to start, only to lose opportunities that will never come again. The biggest lesson is, don't procrastinate your life. Live proactively, dare to choose, dare to act, even if not perfect, even if you are still afraid. Every choice you make today will silently write your future. Time does not allow us to do it again, but it always gives us the right to start from this very moment. Be awake, live truly, live deeply, live meaningfully, instead of existing superficially, repetitively. You cannot go back to live a new life, but you can start from today to write a different ending. And that is the greatest power you have.